Afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of you, depending on which time zone you are in. My name is Ellen Mishra. I'm the principal trainer and business analyst at Adaptive US. And I welcome you to this BABOK Brownbag webinar. This webinar has about 35 minutes of content and another 25 minutes of time allocated to answer your queries. So I have been teaching this subject for close to 10 years now. I've taught this body of knowledge to about 10,000 BAs around the globe, of which about 2,000 are now IIBA certified. And that's probably a world record by any individual trainer to have touched so many IIBA certified BAs. I also happen to be the first BA in the world to complete all 7 IIBA certifications. I have been part of IIBA standards writing team. So the standard that came out in 2022, I was part of the review team. I also have been part of the questions writing team, which and I participated in the CCBA questions preparation. I'm a regular speaker at IIBA. So that's what I do. I mostly spend 30% of my time in training, 30% in doing BA work for Adaptive and for our clients, and about 30% in writing about business analysis. That's what I do. Good. So I got some idea about where are you guys joining from. It's nice to see people from all around the world joining our webinar. This has been a great endeavor by our marketing team. So I will thank you and congratulate them because in general, we have been able to get a good number of participants for these webinars. And we would like to give you as much value as possible from our side. So we'll keep the standard discussion a little bit short so that I can take questions from you. So anything that you have on BABOK, you can ask me. 99.99% of the time, I should be able to answer them. And I have been spending at least 100 hours a month for last 10 plus years. So that's a huge amount of time that I have spent in understanding BABOK, trying to interpret BABOK, and I would share my understanding of BABOK with you today. And I'm hoping that this will help you to understand BABOK much better. And those of you who are planning to go for the certifications, it can be a great starting point. Okay. So again, let me thank you for taking your time today to join this webinar. And trust me, uh, if you listen to the webinar, you follow up on the suggestions that I make, many of you, and I would say probably 90% of you, will see an increased confidence, increased knowledge, and increased salary as well within next 1 year. So many of our customers, about 76% of our students see significant benefit within 6 months, and many of them even before that. So other than the natural things like better skills, better knowledge, better confidence, um, the average salary increase that we see is somewhere between 30 to 80%. So it could fluctuate between that, but be assured that you are going to get a great salary increase once we complete the training and you also get yourself certified. So what is this webinar about? I'm going to give you a very quick, important update about some of our new offerings that have come for students. And then I would be going through the context in which BABOK was developed so that you understand the whole interpretation of BABOK. Because a lot of us have a lot of doubts about BABOK, how it is written, why it was written, how does it interpret things, and those kind of things. And in general, we IT professionals have a very bad habit of dropping middle words. And that's what creates a whole lot of confusion in people's mind because the middle words are missing. And without those missing words, you probably struggle in understanding BABOK. And of course, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions on BABOK, um, starting from techniques to tasks to whatever is there in BABOK. I should be able to help you understand your doubts. Again, remember, there is a nice offer that we will make at the end of the webinar. So those of you who stay Till that point in time, we'll get a code, and that code will give you at least $50 worth of additional benefit when you procure any of our new products. And I trust most of you know about adaptive, so I don't want to brag about it. I have already spoken about myself, so I'll skip this slide and let me go to the topic itself. I believe many of you may have started reading BABOK. Some of you must have started reading BABOK, or nobody has read BABOK yet. You haven't seen BABOK, or some of you must have kind of browsed through BABOK, maybe the hard copy, maybe the soft copy, who all have taken some time to read BABOK. And how do you find it? Find it very interesting, easy to read? How is it? Oh, you've been, Rebecca, you can put it in the Q&A section. Chat doesn't work for some reason. I have to really investigate some time why chat isn't working. That should work. I'll ask my colleague to investigate into that. Okay. Varnita says they have been using it in the class. Um, Mohammed says he has read twice. Very nice. So, Mohammed, what has been your experience with BABA? Do you really find it interesting? Someone says, I have read Babok 2.0. Okay, very good. Bit vague, confusing. I have been reading it as well. Lots of terminology repetitive. Yeah, very good. Very interesting. Okay, Carol says, very interesting. Okay, someone says, Amy says, I found it very wordy. True. So I will tell you one interesting experience that one of our past students told me. So he said the night he doesn't get sleep, he will actually start reading BABOK. And then he says, the moment I read 3, 4 pages of BABOK, I will get very nice sleep. So it was kind of very boring for him. So which is why he said, this is the best book that I can read before I want to go to sleep. All said and done, BABOK is indeed a very long, complex document. Let's accept it has more than 200,000 words. It's not a tiny number that we are talking of. And personally, I believe a good read of Babok may take you 5 to 10 days to read once. Okay, it's like full time if you're reading Babok. So we try to make an attempt to make it understandable to you. So I'll talk about it a little bit later. And even today, and I'm just telling you, in spite of being a practitioner for 25 years, I have worked in more than 50 projects in 15 different countries. I still find BABOK difficult. So if you're finding it difficult, uh, so don't feel bad about it. So anyone will find it difficult. If somebody claims that he is an authority on BABOK and he understands it completely, I really doubt that person. It's such a huge volume of work. So it's very hard to do it. So obviously, BABOK is meant to be the business analysis body of knowledge. And that's where the first confusion comes. So before becoming an IT business analyst, I was a management consultant. So I was helping clients to improve their performance, processes, and those kind of things. And when I started reading BABOK, I started finding it very awkward because we are not talking of competition, we are not talking of market, and we are saying we are a business analysis standard. How can it be so? Because businesses exist within a context. So there is competition, there is market, there is suppliers. So obviously, we have to look a lot outside the organization as well to understand business. So that's where my confusion originated. And then later on, I realized that it's actually not true business analysis standard. So some people may criticize me saying, Ellen, how are you saying this? You have been teaching this course for so long. Why you did not raise it with IIBA? For whatever reason. For whatever reason, it is an IT requirements analysis standard. Precisely, it's a software requirements analysis standard. So please keep this in mind. It's not a business analysis standard. At best, I could call it as a business requirements analysis standard, but I wouldn't really call it a business analysis standard because it does not talk every aspect of business. There are so many aspects of business which is completely left out. Then you may say why it became an IT or software requirement standard. It came from the fact that people in software industry were in the forefront of creating standards. So I trust most of you come from a software background. I would believe so. No, 95% of the students that I see in our classes do come from the software development background. And why? It's very simple. So people realized that software is changing the world. It's making a lot of things become faster, quicker, more cost effective, and the power of software keeps increasing as you observe with AI and the new tools coming into being. The power of software is enormous. No, it's not that it's everything, but it's a very, very important element of any organizational performance. So when we wanted to develop software, we followed an approach called SDLC, which most of you would know. So which stood for Software Development Life Cycle. And we actually had a very structured approach to developing software. Even today, people talk of agile or whatever you talk, it still applies. It's not that the SDLC has gone out, just the fact that the SDLC has been made to run in repetitive manner. So in the past, we had a long SDLC, maybe 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 years, like that. But now the SDLC is a lot more content. So we try to run the cycles in 3 months, 2 months, 1 month duration. But we do all these tasks. So every time we want to develop a software, we will do some planning. We need to understand the requirements of the solution, what the solution is trying to achieve. Then, of course, we will do design, we will do development, we will do testing, and we will implement the software in some environment. And the planning piece fell into the world of project managers and product owners. So organizations like PMI and Prince kind of took the lead in creating body of knowledge for project management. Then the body of requirements fell into the role of business analysis, requirements analysis, software requirements analyst, software requirements engineer, you can call it in many names, and organizations like IIBA, BCS, IREB, and PMI got into this space. Okay, so for us, this is the space that we are really focused on. So I think maybe I should give it a green color so that I kind of highlight this one very well. So I'll give it a green color. Maybe this one is okay. And this testing, I will change it to some other color because that's not our focus. That's somebody else's focus. So please understand, different roles are focusing on different aspects of the SDLC. So now you got some idea where is this BABOK coming from. And when I asked some of my colleagues who were part of BABOK B3 writing team, why it became only software requirements, not anything else, then they said, yeah, mostly people who participated in the development came from software background. So it generally became a software requirement standard. Although I personally believe requirements apply any sector, take manufacturing, take construction, take retail, everywhere requirements do exist. Just that our enterprise, our focus became software requirements. Then we also have other flavors of requirements or business analysis, which could be business data analysis, which is what people are calling it as business analytics. It could be product perspective, we call it as product owner analysis. It could be cybersecurity perspective, which we have a new standard from IIBA called CCA certification. So those fall into those pictures. And one particular topic which I feel we still have missed out at this time is to understand enterprise strategy analysis. No, that is something which we are not having right now. And I'm hoping someday in future we would actually have a guidebook or an extension from IIBA, which will focus on enterprise strategy analysis. So now that you understand software application a little bit, let me go a little bit deeper into the context of BABOK. Okay. So let's think of the historical movement of BABOK. So it started in 2004, which is about 20 years back, and there was a BOK committee formed. And 2005, the first version came up. It got upgraded to 1.4. Then 2006, it became 1.6. In 2009, it became 2.0, which is the standard I really like, okay, because it was much more compact. So this was about, I would say, 250 pages. This was about 250 pages. Okay, which is still a good number. But this one became a humongous update, and this actually became something like a 450-page document, which is little unusual. You don't change so much, you know. So that's why it became a lot more difficult for people to understand V3 because of the number of pages. And we also wanted to make it more scientific in terms of nomenclature, glossary. So we started using terms which are not so commonsensical. Like a lot of times we started talking about BA information, which is largely requirements, but we would not use the word requirements, but we will use the word BA information. Now, if I ask you this question, even if you take 2015, 2010, so maybe V3 was being written between 2012 to 2015. No, that's you need about 2 to 3 years time to write a body of knowledge because you need at least 250 people to contribute to the body of knowledge. So we are talking of a year which is 2012 when the BABOK is being conceptualized. So, what is the dominant software development approach in 2012? Some of you may remember, many of you should remember. No. What was the dominant software development approach in 2012? Okay, two participants raised hands. Ah, yeah, how do I see the hands raised? Okay, let me see, let me ask. Oh, somebody says Agile. No, Agile wasn't that prominent in around 2012, but it was kind of getting popular. As such, Agile came in the year 2000. And every framework that comes to the market, it takes time. You know, it doesn't become popular in day one like it happens nowadays. And because nowadays we have social media, so we can propagate things much more quicker. In 2012, I don't think any of the social media existed. I don't know when Facebook was started. Let me see. Um, when Facebook was launched, founded, let's see, in 2004. Okay. But it also would have taken time to become popular. No, it doesn't become popular overnight. Now, of course, we have many social media platforms, so we can make things popular much more quicker in compared to those days. So it was waterfall. Secondly, people who wrote BA-BOK, okay, when did they start working in their professional career? These people were very senior people, like 15, 20 years experience. So they would have started working in the year 1990, somewhat like me. Okay. So I started working in 1992. So many of them would have started working in the 80s, 90s, or 2000 at most. I don't think anybody would be accepted in the writing team if you have less than 10 years experience. So these were the people who were writing this, and for them, the waterfall model was the dominant model. Although Agile was already being known, but the adoption of Agile was much less. So, in a sense, when you look at BABOK, it is essentially a large waterfall software development project, not product. It's application development. Because in those days, product development was also very nascent. Not many products in the market, very few products. But enterprises were building a lot of software in-house to manage their operations, be it a bank, be it an insurance company, be it a retail company, whatever you take, they were creating a lot of in-house applications. So we were the people who were writing specifications for these applications and mostly in the waterfall world. So keep that context in mind. Large software application development project. Okay. So this is what I was talking to you. Because this was the dominant cycle, so when you read BA-BOK, always keep this context in mind that we are thinking largely of a very large software application development project. Good. So now a little bit of intro to BA-BOK, which I already have given. It actually has 30 tasks, which every BA should know as per BA-BOK. And these tasks are grouped into 6 knowledge areas. So knowledge areas are essentially focus areas for BA-BOK, what you think you should know, and a broad group of tasks are called a knowledge area. It has also 50 techniques, named techniques, like the techniques have a name, but inside these techniques, there are sub-techniques as well. So the actual number is 91. So it's a pretty large number of techniques that you will get to learn when you study BA-BOK. And it also has a strong vocabulary, which is an intent of BA-BOK, to make sure that people around the world use consistent terminology, especially business analysts. And since we understood that this is a very hard thing to do, so we actually wrote a note and a study note on BA-BOK, which is compressing BA-BOK by 90%. So our guidebook is only 20,000 words instead of 200,000 words. And of course, we are a very exam-focused company, so we remove things that are not there in the exam. So if something is not applicable for the exam, we simply don't include in the guide. Okay. So I got a little bit of, I hope you got a little bit of context around BA-BOK, the thought process and the language, the context in BA-BOK. Then I will show you 2 important mind maps. And this is where I want to kind of draw your attention to certain mind maps. And in fact, if you look at the names of the knowledge areas, I have modified them a little bit. So although BA-BOK calls it as business analysis planning and monitoring, I would actually call it as requirements planning and monitoring. Remember, SDLC, we are part of requirements. So obviously, we need to think how to elicit requirements, how to analyze requirements, how to specify requirements. All that falls into our territory. Okay, so we are essentially managing requirements for the project. Okay, so that's how I have made the knowledge area name slightly different from BA-BOK, which is okay. Then if you look at the second knowledge area, which is called elicitation and collaboration, I have modified the knowledge area name as requirements elicitation and stakeholder collaboration. So these are the missing words that I am plugging in so that you can understand. So primary purpose of elicitation is to elicit requirements and obviously manage stakeholder collaboration as well, which I would have preferred to be put in planning area, but somehow BA-BOK decided to keep it in the elicitation knowledge area. That's fine. Then the third knowledge area, which is again, if you look at it, it's requirements lifecycle management, which is very understandable. There is no change to that knowledge area name. But the fourth knowledge area is the most difficult or confusing knowledge area. Somehow BA-BOK calls it as strategy analysis. A lot of people think strategy analysis is about enterprise strategy analysis. This is not true. It's about implementation roadmap analysis. And in fact, if you take the full name, I would have called it as requirements implementation roadmap analysis. So anytime BA-BOK talks of strategy, it generally uses the word roadmap as a substitute. Like it kind of equates roadmap to strategy, which is again incorrect. Okay. Uh, the strategy contains a roadmap. There's no harm in having a roadmap, but the roadmap alone isn't strategy. That's something we should remember. So if you understand that part, so you'll know that, okay, we have to implement the requirements. We may decide to implement it in the waterfall way, like we implement all the requirements together, or we could do it in iterative way where we say, okay, this 10% of the requirements are very important. I'm going to work on them first. Then next 10%, next 10%, like that. I will repeat my project and I will keep building my application or product over a period of time. So keep that in mind. Then the fifth knowledge area, again, I have not made any change because it's again requirements analysis and design definition, which is pretty much okay. Then the sixth knowledge area again has to be reworded. So although it says solution evaluation, it is not solution selection evaluation, because you may do solution selection evaluation as a task, but the purpose of this is to evaluate solution performance. So the correct name could be solution performance evaluation and improvement. That's what we are trying to do. So we think of requirements, we do the elicitation, we do the analysis, we get into solutioning, which is the part of your RADD knowledge area. Once the solution is in place, we also evaluate the performance of the solution and we try to make it better. Whatever weaknesses are existing in the solution, we try to overcome those solutions. So this particular slide, I would definitely like you to take a screenshot, keep it with you. And anytime you're reading the knowledge area names, please make sure that you read it in this fashion. So when you read it in this descriptive manner, it will start making a lot more sense. Like a lot of people ask me, why strategy analysis is not the first knowledge area? Which is in general, in a strategic project, it will be true. If you're looking at enterprise strategic initiatives, first you have to do strategy analysis, then you do planning. No, you don't do planning and then do strategy analysis. But because here the strategy analysis is about creating the roadmap for requirements implementation, it will come only after the requirements have come in. So please keep that in mind. Okay. Then I also created a mind map. This is a 10,000 feet overview of BABOK. Okay. And trust me, we took about 50 hours of debate within our faculty member team to come up with this mind map. Finally, it doesn't look that complex to you, but we had lots of thoughts, keeping it vertical, horizontal, all kinds of thoughts we had, how much detail we put into this map. So finally, we said, okay, this is the map. And in fact, if you observe, we have given the tasks a number, although BABOK does not suggest so. But in general, in 80% of the cases, it will actually work. So you don't worry so much. In some cases, maybe the flow has to be altered. But in majority of the cases, you can actually maintain the flow as given in this particular mind map. Secondly, you would see certain tasks being put in parallel, certain tasks being put in serial manner. So these are important things to remember. So when you are going for the examination, do remember the tasks within the knowledge area, how they are structured, are they parallel, are they serial, what are the key inputs, what are the key outputs, all that is mentioned in this mind. Okay. Then we also made another attempt in simplifying BABOK, where to group the techniques. So in general, BABOK does not group the techniques in any manner. It kind of treats every technique as independent of the other technique, which is not true. So techniques have a natural affinity to certain knowledge area. Like if you say brainstorming, workshops, focus groups, they have a natural affinity towards elicitation. That's why we put them under elicitation. Then certain techniques have natural affinity towards requirement analysis, things like sequence diagram, state modeling, data dictionary. They're very helpful in requirements analysis knowledge area. So we group them together, and we also understand that techniques also have a flow. So don't think that techniques don't have a flow. You start with a particular technique, which could be a broad technique, then you go to the next level, then you go to the next level, then you go to the next level of detailing. So techniques also have a flow. They also have a lot of commonalities, like the way you run a brainstorming session, the way you run a workshop, the way you run a focus group, or a collaborative game session. There are a lot of commonality. The way you plan, you select your stakeholders, You introduce the stakeholders, you run through the session, you collect action items. All that is common across many, many techniques. Okay, and you will also find this star symbol here, which says that there are multiple sub-techniques within each of these techniques. That's how we came up with the number 91. So a quick 5-minute journey on what we do for you, and then I will throw open the session for you to ask any question to me. So we are one of the world's largest, possibly the largest IIBA certification training provider in the world. So we have a global market share of 7%, and there are about 300 companies that compete in this space, including a large number of universities as well. We provide live online training, almost 3 sessions a month. And then we also do private trainings for our clients, corporate clients as well. So far, we have got about 1890 plus IIBA certifications, and typically we deliver more than 100 courses a year. And we are possibly the only institute to offer all 7 standards training. To my knowledge, I haven't come across anyone who does all 7. Okay. This is an something interesting I wanted to say. So we have an add-on product called ECBA Live Class Add-on. So if somebody has or wants to take the self-paced learning first and then want to attend the live sessions, you can buy these add-ons and attend the live sessions as well. So this is one interesting update that we introduced recently. Our main job is to provide you good quality content, provide you good trainers, and the method that we have followed for last 7 years, it really has been fine-tuned over a period of time. We constantly upgrade our question bank. In about 3 months back, we updated our CBAP question bank. We are in the process of updating our ECBA question bank, not ECBA, CCBA question bank as I speak with you. And maybe by this month end, we will release a new version of CCBA question bank. We also do a lot of skill-based training other than certification trainings. So we do tools training like Jira, Balsamic, Power BI, those kind of tools training also we do. I trust many of you might know us that we have a success guarantee term, we have a guarantee to run, and we also have a money back that you can avail if you are unsuccessful after following our approach. So these are the people that you will meet in the courses that we run. You've seen me, you will see Victoria, you will see Laura. Some of you may see Tom. Tom usually does our non-core certifications like CBDA, CPOA, AAC. Sometimes he does ECBA, CCBA as well. Laura Patton has taken a little bit of a backseat right now. So we've got a new trainer in her place called Olivia Hampton. So I have to replace Olivia's picture there as well. You can read a lot of stories about our past students. In fact, we are not able to track every of these stories. I think this is something that we have to try now because a lot of stories we miss. So this is an interesting book. I believe many of you might have seen this book on our website as well. So go ahead and download this guidebook, which has a lot of questions on IIB examinations, a lot of tips as well. And there are a lot of resources, question bank, those kind of things, which you can actually go ahead and look at in our LMS system. So this is the webinar coupon that I was talking of. So you get 1 month extra access to resources if you buy the course within next 1 week. So please make a note of this webinar coupon because that's what our sales guys will ask you. Or you have to tell our sales folks to this coupon so that they can extend your access. Good. So I think I'm done with my presentation. I said I'll take 35 minutes. I've taken 35 minutes. And now I'm ready to take your questions. So let me do one thing. Let me see. These are things that I have already. Yeah, Christy has a good question. are the sub-techniques listed in the BABOK together? They are part of the technique. So if you're looking at estimation, it will talk of top-down, bottom-up, parametric, expert opinion. It will talk within that technique. So each one of them are actually independent techniques. So expert opinion is a technique to estimate. Parametric is again another estimation technique, but we called all 8 of them as estimation technique. Okay. So you will find them within the technique. The coupon code, okay, 1 second. One of you wants the coupon code. Let me go back. I will also put the coupon code in the chat as well. Just 1 second. Where is the coupon code? Yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll keep this screen frozen so that you can have the coupon code in front of you. Okay, so I will do that, and I think let me take up your questions now. Carol has a question, cost of an individual. I didn't understand that question. If you're looking at our training course costs, the website is the best place. Go. Or if you want to browse through all product costs, go to a page called catalog. So adaptiveus.com/catalog will list all the courses, all the variants that we have. Okay. Sure, Mohammed, go ahead. Now onwards, it's your session. I have nothing more to say, unless you ask me some questions. Go ahead. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't speak, so you have to type your question. Okay. Okay, let me do one thing. I think I got some questions. Okay. Talha has a question. I'm about to start preparing for CBAP and planning to appear for the test in next 3 to 5 months. Very good. What should be my strategy? How can I make sure I pass the test in my first attempt? I'll be preparing while I'm doing my job and fulfill other responsibilities. True. Most of our students are like that. Most of them are in job and they're trying to go through the certification. Usually get hold of a good resource base, like a good simple study guide, good number of questions to practice. And in general, what we have observed is people who go through the live training tend to complete the course quicker because they are able to ask their doubts, whatever questions they have in their mind. And our students take somewhere between 3 to 6 months to complete CBAP. ECBA, they can complete a little faster. CCBA takes about 2.5 months to 3 months. Vernita has a question. Do I have to sign up with Adaptive to receive the mock questions? Of course. It is in our LMS. So to get access to the mock questions, you do have to sign up. Otherwise, you will not be able to. It's an online system. It's not like a book. So it's a real system. So you can actually practice some questions. There is a simulation module as well, which is very similar to what IIBA uses. Guidelines and tools. Okay. Charne has a question for the CCBA exam. How well do we need to know the guidelines and tools? Do we also need to know the stakeholders involved per K? What kind of financial calculation do we need to know for the exam? Let me answer one by one. Usually, guidelines and tools are documents that you should know. A lot of questions about should I remember these guidelines, stakeholders? It's very hard to remember, frankly. And I think it's not a very productive exercise trying to remember the above. It's humongous. Okay, just trust me. Rather, I would say we teach a technique in which we try to relate situations to techniques so that you can understand, okay, if this is the kind of situation I'm facing, this is the technique I'm most likely going to use. And then we also cover in the financial analysis, like cost benefit analysis is something you should know at the CCBA level. NPV and IRR are generally not expected because they are much more complex. But at least know cost benefit calculation for the CCBA examination. Then let me go to, yeah, of course, Muhammad. I mean, we can help you in any way, including you can also buy just the IIB exam bundle. That's something you can do, which we provide at a slightly discounted price compared to what IIBA gives it to a student. That's also option that you have. Or you can take through our digital learning alone that comes at a much more cost-effective price in case you don't feel the need for a live training. So we get students for live training, guided training, on-demand course. It depends on the student. Okay. Christy has a good question. Will there be a new version of BABOK on the horizon? To my knowledge, no. There is no plan to change BABOK to version 4. I met the leadership team about 2 months back. What they're saying is they will maintain digital versions of BABOK and they will update that. But I do have a problem with that approach because a digital version is not a static version. No? So how do we really prepare students well for that? I have been requesting for a new version of BABOK, but I really doubt anything is being done on that front. So at least till, and even if a new version of BABOK comes in, it'll be 1 year transition time. So assume that there is a new BABOK version coming in 2024. Till 2026, the tests will be on BABOK version 3. Maybe in 2027, the tests will be on BABOK version 4 in case a new version comes, but I really doubt. Okay. Amy has a good question. Um, should I go for ECBA, CCBA before the CBAP? I would always suggest so. There are multiple advantages. Okay. ECBA is the simplest test. You need least amount of preparation, least amount of money, least amount of time to go through ECBA. And the ECBA certificate is valid forever. So you don't lose ECBA certificate once you achieve it. That's a good point. Then when you do ECBA and CCBA, you also get familiar with BABOK. You get familiar with IIBA exam process and all that. And if you complete CCBA, you are almost 70% ready for CBAP. So it makes a whole lot of sense if you can go through steps. It's not mandatory. I'm not saying that you have to go through it. You can go for CBAP directly as well if you're quite confident. But I would always recommend at least take ECBA or CCBA, one of them, before you go for CBAP. Okay. Then is the on-demand class the same as taking the virtual class, except that you are on your own? Christy, the on-demand course and the live course have exactly same resources. There is no difference in the resource in terms of live, not live. The recorded lectures, the question bank, the study guide, everything is same. Just that with the live training, you get extra access to the faculty members. So we teach you about 40 hours of live training, like I'm doing now. So obviously, there's a lot of value in that as well. The team is monitoring you. Are you going in the right direction? You have office hours to come and ask your doubts. So there's a lot of extra benefit that you get. But there are students who take on demand and complete the course as well. Hmm? Okay. Tariq has a good question saying, how IIBA conducts the certification exam? Is it online? If no, where are the centers? Okay. The answer is ECBA is completely online. You cannot go and take the ECBA exam in a test center. But CCBA and CBAP are two tests which you can take it from center and you can take it from home as well. If you have an exam center near your place, I would suggest go to the exam center. Don't take it from home. But if you have a center which is very far from your home, maybe you can think of taking it from home as well. So I have taken both. Like I've taken both in center, both at home, but your home setup has to be really good. Like at least have multiple internet connections, multiple laptops, those kind of backup mechanisms you should have if you want to take it from home. So that if there is some problem with your existing system, you can switch over to a new system very, very quickly. Mohammed has a question. I'm operating a company as general manager or CEO. It's actually, again, as I said, it's an ITBA standard. Um, so more or less strategy analysis is something that you can think of. And if you have worked enough, so at least you would have done some amount of planning work, some amount of requirements elicitation. But again, it's mostly related to software project environment. So if somebody does not have any software background, but a general management background, then I would suggest CBA, not CBAC. No, because for CBAC, usually I would suggest you have some IT background or you build some IT background before you go for CBAC. That's a little bit of a sad thing, but I don't control everything. Okay. Uh, Rupak has a question. Uh, do we have differential pricing? Unfortunately, no. All our students across the world pay the same price. And I think if you compare us with our nearest competitors as well, they're doubly expensive, okay, and half the resource and support. That's how different they are from us. So we are extremely good value for money when you look at what you get in the market. Of course, we are not the cheapest for that matter. I'm preparing for my, Christine has a question. I'm preparing currently for the ECB exam. Do you have any tips to be successful in the exam? Okay, Christine, we do have a very helpful document on our website called IIBA Tips, 100 IIBA Tips or something like that. Go and look for that document. Just go to our website and search for 100 IIBA Tips. Or maybe you just search for tips. It should appear for you. Hmm? There's a lot of useful tips because so many students take the exam, they come back, they give us feedback, then we write down in that document. So I have answered Rupak's question. Indaka has a question. I have sat for CBAP 2 months back and did not get through. From the 6Ks, 3Ks, I have comparable score, 2K is higher and 1K lower score. Why I did not get through the exam? Okay, Indika, in general, it is expected that you score comparable or higher um, in all knowledge areas. Yeah, because you did not get um, comparable in the requirements lifecycle management, that's where they did not give you the certificate. I have been suggesting some improvements to the certification product as well, but in general, IIB, it takes a little bit of time to accept your ideas. Like one of the ideas I had submitted long, long back is to exclude 3 knowledge areas from ECBA test because I felt for a junior BA, it's not required to know the entire BABOK, but the BA should focus on elicitation, lifecycle management, and RADD. To my good luck, they actually accepted the suggestion and removed 2 knowledge areas from the test. So I also have suggested something like if somebody comes very close to CBAP but does not close or complete CBAP, can we give CCBA certification to the person? In principle, IIBA leadership team has accepted that it's a good idea. But again, all good ideas take time to implement. So I'm hoping that if that suggestion gets through, might be a good thing for all of us. No? So you go for CBAP, doesn't get through, but you get CCBA. No, Jay Sekara would have been so happy. At least he did not go empty-handed. No. Okay. I think you guys also start writing to IIB. So please understand. When I write, typically IIB folks consider me as a critical reviewer. You know, they don't like me so much because I have said so many things about Babak or this is where it is wrong. And just to be very frank, there are at least 100 mistakes in BABOK. Okay. And I wish they correct it promptly, but that also does not happen. But that's okay. I'm hoping that someday this will be heard. But you guys, if you write to IIBA, maybe they will hear you out. No? So many people writing about BABOK V4 or corrections to BABOK or simplifying BABOK. Maybe somebody in IIBA will listen to you. Good. Mohammed also has. I understand. I understand. I believe we should have a non-IT BA approach, or the BA approach should be more generic, like project management approach, which we can apply in any kind of project. I wish we have a good standard in that area. But just imagine creating a standard, making it popular is a Herculean task. And I should thank and congratulate IIBA for getting that done. You know, pre-IIBA days, there was nothing called business analyst role. There was nothing called a body of knowledge for BAs. We do have it now. You know, companies understand what we do. They get recognition, which is an amazing thing that IIBA has done. They have got 40,000 plus BAs come together. Imagine getting 40,000 BAs around the world come together. That's a humongous achievement. So they've done many things brilliantly. Some minor small things are there, but in any system there will be some minor issues. No, when you're trying to do so many things and you're trying to write a book which is 500 pages, bound to be something's missing. Okay, Huimin has question to undertake ECBA as point of switch to a new career. Roughly how long months perhaps it takes to go through adaptive course? In general, women, it takes 2 to 3 months at most for ECBA. You don't need more than 3 months' time. It's a reasonably simple examination. It's not very hard. We already have, I think, more than 600 ECBAs, close to 800 CBAP. So the method is known, the content is there. So as long as you study the content, attend the classes, do the questions, you should be through. Okay. Good. So I hope I answered most of your queries, folks. Is there any last question anybody would like to ask me? We still have 7 minutes in hand. I'm glad so many of you asked so many very interesting questions. Anyone else with any other question? Oh, okay. Mohammed, Gulf countries IIB is very well accepted. I'll tell you countries where IIB is very well accepted. US, Canada, Australia, Gulf countries, India, it's very well accepted. The countries where it is not so well accepted is UK, Germany. These two countries, they have their own internal standards. So you have BCS in UK and IREB in Germany. They have been there for quite some time. So in those two countries, IIBA is a little less popular, but it's getting a lot of popularity. I see a lot of interest in UK now because people want to see something which is more international. And IIB is very active in terms of conferences, webinars. It's way more active compared to BCS or IREB. So that's why a lot of people are kind of gravitating more towards IIBA compared to BCS and IREB, but they're older entities as well. So they have been there for much more longer compared to IIBA. Okay. Ah, Mohammed. No, it's nothing to do with I. Okay. So one thing, please understand. Why are you studying BABOK or getting yourself certified? Once you want to understand this subject very well, in that way, it will be applicable to your company as well. I run a company which is only 15 people. But do we find value with BABOK? Of course. No, we build our own systems. We have built multiple solutions for ourselves. So there I can apply the concepts of that. So it can be applied to any kind of sector, business, just that it should be something related to software. So if you're looking at non-software, then we have to find some other solution. And I believe MSMEs also use software, no? Okay, Tariq has a good question. What is the requirements to sit in the ECB exam? There is practically no requirement. Okay, as long as you can understand BABOK, you can write ECBA. There is no other work experience requirement or reference requirement. Work experience and reference requirements come only for CCBA and CPAP. Okay. Good. So I think I have addressed most of your questions. Let me thank you for joining us today. It's a great pleasure to meet so many of you in the webinar. And I hope this webinar gave you some insights into BABOK. And I hope to see all of you certified very, very soon. Thank you.